So I want to get moving. Okay, all right, we are open, so I want to open the meetings of the September 26th, Littleton Board of Health. We'll kick it off with administrative matters. Before we jump into this, why don't we talk about Cooper Farm and see if we can get this wrapped up then. So come on, and then just for clarity and for the record, obviously state your name.
Have you changed the spelling?
Janet Field.
Okay.
Did I
Hi,
change?
how are
Yeah,
you?
it says Copperfield.
No,
Copper,
Cooper.
Copper Farm.
Here on behalf
Who's
of
that
M&M
from?
Realty Trust and the Cooper Farm.
From Jim,
Jim
from
Group.
Jennifer.
Matthew, you are?
Matthew Field.
It says Copper.
It's Cooper.
I know, but they're spelling it wrong.
Where? Fire him.
It's Copper, it's your, something says Copper, but it's Cooper.
Cooper, C-O-U-P-E-R.
Okay, who wants
All
to?
right. I am
jump in?
happy to lead off.
Okay.
We have two documents that are in front of you today. You've seen this project and you've
Yep.
seen the septic plans for a bit, but there are two things that we need to just wrap this up. One is the grant of Title V covenant and easement, and this gives the town the right to come onto the property and access, maintain the shared septic system should the owner or developer fail to do so. And this is a form that was actually provided by Jim Gareffi. It was blessed by town council sometime in June of this year.
Okay.
The other thing that goes with this, because this is a shared system, and I know it's a little different, but under the requirements of 310 CMR, we need to prove to the town that there are monies set aside to repair and ultimately replace the system should it fail. So we had, as you might imagine, a lot of back and forth with Mr. Gareffi and town council to come up with a form of escrow agreement that was satisfactory to the town and to town council. And that form itself was blessed August 22nd. Happened to know where I was that day when I got the email from Chris Heap saying it was good to go, with just one caveat. We still had blanks in it for the amount, for the cost of the system. And there was some discussion going on between the owner and Mr. Gareffi to confirm, all right, what's the number we're going to put in here? And that's the only thing that I'm missing at this moment. We do have a spreadsheet here with the cost to repair, replace. This has been sent to Mr. Gareffi,
Last week.
a week or so ago. But the sort of well, do we even get into the new system? Has that been presented to the board?
No.
It has not been presented to the board.
So the conventional system's what?
So the
Yeah.
conventional system.
To this board, but we have a new design that was submitted to Mr. Griffey 3 weeks ago?
2.5.
2.5, 3 weeks ago. No, it's in his review right now.
Okay.
So what I would say is that since we have a conventional system which has been approved, if that is the more expensive system, the only reason to move to the new system is there's a big cost savings for the project.
Oh, I see.
But if we
And there's
put,
an environmental aspect involved with it as well. It's cleaner water, it's a better system.
Okay, you're just waiting for the update. But the currently approved system is more expensive.
It is.
Correct.
Right.
so if we put in the more conservative numbers.
I agree.
To get us over this hump, and then to the extent that we bring in the new plans and get those approved by the board, then we could do an amendment to the escrow agreement to
Correct.
to reduce the amount that needs to be put into the funding or into the escrow account. And the way it works, just to give you a little background, is we agree on how much this system costs to replace. And for round numbers, it's about $200,000. And we are agreeing with the town to put in 10% of that a year. So over a 10-year period, a full replacement cost would be funded. This is really a 20, 30-year system. So we're funding it much more quickly than would be needed to replace it, but that's something that we agreed to do to benefit the town and to get the approvals. So if, for example, this is a $200,000 system to install, we're agreeing to put $20,000 year one into our escrow account at Lowell 5. Then the next year, another 20 will go in. This is an obligation of at this point, the developer, but as lots get sold of the homeowners association,
Right.
and they have the ongoing responsibility to fund this each year. We also have obligations to provide you with an update at the end of each year to show you what's in the account.
Yeah, and so is the homeowner association also responsible as a group to fund annual or biannual cleaning?
Yeah, it's,
Yes.
yeah,
Something of it?
Yearly.
it's very,
Yearly.
And there is a operation and maintenance plan which had been approved already by the board, which outlines our obligations for cleaning, or for maintaining, pumping.
it's completely separate from this, that
Yeah.
cost, so.
Yeah, no,
that's-
I get that, it's just, and then, so the emails, there's a couple emails that state 180,000 for a replacement cost. Why
That's-
would that be less than the 200 plus to?
Well, originally, we estimated it 180, but last week, we sat down with pen and paper and just did hard numbers with actual estimates, and that's when we got
And
up
it
to
comes
the
to
200.
2, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
so
that
the
includes a
numbers,
set of- I'm sorry.
the numbers at the, in, then for escrow and what you're talking about gets to that 200,000.
Correct.
Yes.
Replacement, okay.
That's a good question. So it says that, in this email, it says installation costs for the perk rate versus the approved and permitted conventional system. So your approved one is the conventional?
Correct.
And then here, I've got two cost sheets. So one is, it's got the perk rate on it.
Oh,
So
Yep.
you said
oh,
that,
it's just, yeah, there's,
you said the conventional is more expensive, but this looks like the cost for the perk rate rather than the conventional. And then the
so I don't
bottom
know
line.
what you are looking at. Let
The
me
other
just
thing
see.
is, there's a bottom line here of 370K.
Is there anything carried over for this? No, so it's not, you just need to put, there's nothing in that line, correct?
Right,
So the original spreadsheet that we did to cost
in the
everything out.
totals.
Right. There was a column for perk rate, all these same costs for perk rate, but I deleted it off here just to keep it simple for today to explain conventional.
So is this the whole system here?
This, you're looking at replacement cost. So this
Yeah.
one's replacement and this one's installation. So
Okay.
to install the septic system initially is a lot more expensive because you're putting in 11,000 yards of sand.
Okay.
If the septic system were to fail, you have to pull out the top foot and,
6 inches.
so that, you'll see that number.
Okay.
And then there are also hard components, like tanks that
Tanks.
don't fail. I mean,
Right, that
So the
typically.
370 is the cost to initially put the system in.
Right.
And the
Two
200
is
is the
to
replacement.
replace it.
you got it. And I'm sorry, that line should have got deleted, sorry.
Okay. So you're saying that the replacement just doesn't include the,
Yeah, like, you're not gonna have to redo that, the tank. It's a concrete tank. I mean, it's someday,
okay.
if they change the type of
And the
system, but-
electrical?
Yeah.
The electrical
That's not that much
stays,
anyway.
the sand stays,
Yeah, that's what I figured.
the 11,000
Did he look at this?
yards.
Did he take a look at the replacement cost? Okay.
We've talked to him about it at length, actually. I sent it to him, so originally, I think he wasn't happy with the 180 number, and that's why we had to do the hard pen and paper to try to,
Okay.
If you look at those emails that,
Yeah.
it's kind of all over the place, but today Jim sent an email back to Janet at 4:41
Yeah.
that he had looked at those and
Okay.
and what he had said.
Okay.
All right.
Other questions?
Nope.
Is it, other questions? No. Seems relatively straightforward, I guess. So we'd be signing something, but numbers have to be put in?
So Jim wanted them to
officially?
just insert those final numbers, and so what I have is not that inserted one, but you could sign, this last sheet, and then it just be subject to Jim giving it the final
Okay.
okay, that was the number that was.
Jim
the
is comfortable
requirement,
with
that
us doing that.
His email indicates that number he's comfortable with, but just that this, what I have right here does not have that number
Insert to
inserted
cross
in it.
into the document and make an appointment.
Well, it says that insert the replacement cost and
And
then,
there's just some dates that have to be inserted into that, into the final one, but, just the day that the agreement's signed and.
I understand what Jim meant, though. Originally, we thought it was just going to be really administrative, like you guys would just have to sign, but he wanted us to take the time, which is, I think, a good idea, to explain
Right.
the numbers.
Okay.
And actually, I'm just looking at this one and it says August, so I'm gonna go see if I have, do you have one that's corrected?
I printed one out, and I think that we actually had printed it out.
This is the
for-
escrow agreement, the last page says August for a date.
Mine has 15 September, we can cross out 15 and put the 20, what are we, the
26th.
26th?
Yeah, the grant I have is blanks for September, so this one is okay.
Yeah, the grant of the Title V, yeah, we can just put the date in.
And then if you can give me that one, I'll make a copy of the one with the September date on it, so that they can sign that one.
And what's the date?
I really just need the
26.
last page unless,
Did you fill all the, oh, actually, let me make the whole thing, because you filled all the dates in on the front, so,
Yep.
okay.
You want this?
Is the homeowner association only responsible for that, or are there other things going to be in a common, has that been worked through? Just I'm
Has-
curious.
No, oh, absolutely.
Because I come from the Midwest where these things are all over the place. They're not that common out here.
It's, it has been worked through, homeowners association will be, they're responsible for the time being, they'd be responsible for the roads, the open space. As you know, the expectation is the open space is all going to be conveyed to the town. Town council is reviewing that form of deeds, but until that gets approved at town meeting and conveyed to the town, homeowners association will be
Responsible for it.
maintaining the open space. They're also responsible for maintaining the roadways until they get accepted by the town.
Yep.
There is
Common landscaping.
all the
and-
common
Yeah, the entrance
landscaping.
common
So there is
landscaping.
going to be there is, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, what I used to seeing.
And the inspection, so 5 tanks a quarter will be pumped.
Okay.
It's all
So
like
you're
highly
gonna-
orchestrated, 4 times a year, the bed gets inspected for like site things, so
Yep.
it's
Okay.
pretty.
And until there's like 90% occupancy or something like that, the developers.
I think it's over 50.
It's 50%, is that what it
Yeah.
is? Okay, I've seen 90.
Yeah, we had 50 on White Street on the last one we did.
Oh, okay.
But the homeowners themselves, we, we stayed close with them, and we still own one of the units in there, and they have their own, they do it all themselves, and they keep the costs. It's 124 condo fee.
There we go. Does that cover things?
Yep, and I'll just have Jim give it the final look over, and then I'll get you the original.
Terrific.
All right.
The grant of Title V covenant and easement, since that does not have any blanks, I would love to be able to get that on record, if you're okay with us taking that. I'm recording the homeowners association document tomorrow, and a couple of other things I'd love to just let that one
Okay.
go on.
Let's get
Okay.
that one signed.
Super, and then I will get copies back to you once it's on record.
So you already
You got is that one signed?
This one's signed, let me just scan it, so I have it.
And that one needs to be notarized, because we are
Right.
recording.
I was,
The grant of Title V?
Right. Gino's a notary, but he's not here.
Are you notary?
Are you a notary?
I am. Is it appropriate? I'm happy to do it. If, I have to card you.
I am not.
Charge me.
No,
no,
not
card. She wants to see their
Card,
IDs.
because I don't know them personally.
do you guys have your licenses?
It's in my car.
Yeah, I'll vouch for them.
Okay.
John Davis.
You?
I was at school today and I didn't have my license on, and to get into the Department of Public Safety, you have to have your license. He's like, do you have a work ID? I'm like, yeah, it's at work.
I never,
What's wrong?
Where is that?
Milford.
Thank you.
I never carry my wallet on me, because then
You don't
I don't
need
have to
this.
pay for things.
Somehow I still get charged.
Yep, I leave it in the car that way. someone else.
You know what I
picks it up.
finally did was I took a picture of it on my phone.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I do the same thing, I leave my wallet in my car.
Yeah,
And I'm gonna put this big,
I'm just missing myself.
and goes anywhere. And Phil, would you please sign?
Janet?
All right, somebody had to make dinner, so.
All right, thank you all.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
I'm just gonna make a copy, a scan of that, so that I have.
Thank you for your time.
I can get out.
No problem. Thanks for coming in.
That's our job, that's our second job.
Our second job?
It's nice to get through them.
Yes, it is. All right.
107 King Street,
107 King Street,
he's not here, so we can do Kirk and then go back to 107 King.
12 Lakeview? Yep. Well, we're actually right on for that one, just about.
Actually, 104, weren't we just gonna sign it?
107, you mean?
107 King Street, didn't,
No, we've got a,
Jim already, Jim granted it, and we just have to sign it or something like that?
oh, I think it's, no, that's a different one. I think it's a different one.
Do we have notes? Oh, here it is, sorry.
Yep. Okay.
Also, get back into Civil Solutions. I'm here on behalf of Shirley Smith for the property at 12 Lakeview Drive. An existing two-bedroom house, failed a Title V inspection. Right now, it's got a small tank behind the house here and a leaching area out behind the existing detached garage. And then there's actually a separate laundry dry well over here off the corner of the house. So we did 2 deep observation holes and a perk test up behind the garage, just behind the old system. We had about 28 inches to 30 inches of old top and subsoil, then changed to a sandy loam, and had an estimated seasonal high water table at 3.5 feet or 42 inches. And we were able to run a perk test, and that was 6 minutes an inch. We did not have any observed groundwater. So what we're proposing is to come out where it comes out now. We're going to do a plumbing change, tie the laundry into the existing building sewer at the back. It's going to come up by gravity to a 1,500-gallon 2-compartment tank, flow by gravity to a 1,000-gallon pump chamber, and then pump up to a Presby Enviroseptic leaching field. It's going to be 32 feet long by 13 feet wide. Because the water table is at 42 inches and it's sloping ground, the proposed Presby is supposed to slope with the land, but it is going to be slightly elevated. We're asking for approval to reduce the groundwater offset from 4 feet to 2 feet with the use of the Presby. If we raise the system further, we'll end up with fill within 10 feet of the lot line down the side. And it will also start directing more water towards the back of the house. Basically, when they built the house, they kind of built a little plateau, and then it slopes up towards the back here. So if that fill gets that much closer, you're almost going to create a bowl behind the house. So we're trying to keep the system as low as possible to keep the water moving around the house rather than directing it at the back of the house.
How deep did you go when you didn't see groundwater?
We were at 9 feet and 9.5 feet.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
And where's modeling? 42
that's
inches?
42 inches.
And when did you do that?
That was done June 27th.
It was raining then, wasn't it?
It was.
We've had rain all season, all summer.
I would say this site was drier than normal, but it is what it is. You see quite a bit of variation on the lake, so. But the modeling dictates and
Yeah, I know.
design, required a design based on.
What, have you got the log here? The
I'm sorry?
test pit log? Just
Yes.
curious. Sandy log. You got-
What do you mean?
I log differently. Well, I don't
What do you
log
do?
any weather. Well, geologists log differently than this. Have you
Ah.
ever seen a geology log?
No?
Yeah, they look really different.
Okay.
I mean, we use the USCS, but we log, you log it differently, but it's more detailed.
Okay.
I can't really tell from that. There's
No, I mean,
nothing
it's
wrong
pretty
with it.
basic, but
No, it's
that's what the
standard.
state
No,
requires.
it's standard. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just, Just saying, I don't find it very interesting.
It's probably not.
Because I was wondering about the modeling, if there was an impermeable layer there, but you don't catch that when you log like that.
No, and I would say there's not. I mean,
Yeah.
Jim's pretty studious about making sure that the
Oh, is he?
the perk is done in the parent material and at a sufficient depth into the parent material where
Yeah.
it's not going to be on the. Sometimes you'll see a layer top in subsoil, and then when you get the sea layer, it's a little bit.
Yeah, because that would
less
explain the
compact.
modeling.
Right.
If it was, that's, I always figured it was just little perch stuff.
So so just to reading this correct, it looks like the house is about 98 to 100, and it's just a slight elevation you set into the back?
So basically, it's all based on the bottom of the corner board
Yep.
being 100.
Yep.
So it comes up, so that's based on the bottom of the garage being 100.
Okay,
So the house sits up a little bit higher, but
okay.
it's not too far off the ground. So it's fairly flat. They kind of create a little plateau around the house,
Mhm.
then jumps up to 102 across here, 104, 106 in the corner.
Mhm.
So it kind of plateaus and then goes up.
Okay. So it's just
And
a
more of a
little,
consistent grade behind the garage.
okay, so just by raising it just a little bit,
You're going to almost create a
Yeah.
bowl and direct the water at the house.
Yeah.
Shelley, I don't understand the note here. It says, I believe a system can be installed with a 3-foot groundwater offset, which will fit on the site without causing grading issues. I would not have an issue with a 3-foot offset, as it will minimize the grading towards structures on the site because the area is served by town water. It sounds like, so he's recommending a 3-foot offset rather than a 2. Okay. So Jim's notes is that if you go with a 3-foot offset, that you won't have grading issues, the grading towards structures on the site.
but does note that using a Presby that we may allow.
Yeah, I know
for the re-
that. I'm just
For
saying
the
that.
reduction. Well, I mean, I want to make, so let me, for the record, capture Jim's complete note on this. So I've reviewed the plans for the replacement of the failed system. The applicant is requesting a reduction of the groundwater offset as part of a design from 4 foot to 2 foot, which is allowed by DEP approval of the Presby system. The goal of Title V is maximum feasible compliance, and the DEP's Presby approval states the board may allow a groundwater offset reduction of up to 2 feet based on site conditions and the goal of Title V. I believe the system can be installed with 3-foot groundwater offset, which would fit on the site without causing grading issues, which actually Kurt is what you're disputing a little bit, it sounds like. I would not have issue with a 3-foot offset, as it will minimize the grading toward the structure on the site because the area is served by town water. So we certainly can approve that. Jim is recommending 3-foot.
I think this is a situation.
Walk me through the concerns here.
I think this is a situation where the 2-foot is advantageous. I mean, you're pushing out the 102 contour, you're pushing out 15 to 16 feet. I mean, we're already starting to create a little bit of a bowl behind the house. I can't push it further this way without potentially impacting the neighbor on this side.
And they have a pretty flat,
It's
Lot.
down also.
it slopes down, and so you'd be putting that slightly raised, you'd put a raised bed closer to the lot line and then fill down
That makes
through.
perfect sense to me. It's just that because he's saying specifically, when he's not here to
No, I know.
explain, and he's saying specifically that the grading, the opposite of what you're saying, the grading, so, and I totally get, like, what you're saying, I get, but it's hard when somebody's giving you, saying the opposite, and it's a hard one.
Yeah. Lisa, any comments, questions?
No. Just listening and learning.
Yeah,
I don't know why we'd want to make it higher. I mean,
no, I'm a little confused by that, too.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't,
wondering is he meaning that there's no grading issue between the system and the house, and that would be under the Title V, but Kirk, you're saying if you did the 3-foot, that would create you having to get the local regulation variance of fill within 10 feet.
it would trigger the variance for fill within 10 feet, and it would also, I think, direct more water at the back of the house.
yeah, it's weird, because he's not, that's why I thought maybe there was a typo in here. I was trying to
It
figure
almost
it out.
sounds like there is, but I'm not going to speak for Jim.
And I can't, I'm not either. That's my point, is that I can't quite decipher what's going on.
Well, I think he generally leans towards, following Title V and the maximum feasible compliance.
Yeah.
So where the 3 feet would actually work, but Kirk's saying then it would require that fill with a lot line, the
Yeah.
local variance, so,
And I think the 2-foot in this situation where it fits the property well, and it'll impact the house.
I mean,
the
you have a
least.
good point, it's just a matter of,
And
you
the-
know,
and the-
policy. I don't know,
The code
Well,
doesn't, the
we-
code allows for it.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, I mean, I guess do we, as a policy, want fully clear instructions, or can we take the opportunity
I think
to
with
have
this
some?
variance, it's really a
Yeah.
case-by-case basis, because you gotta look at, the lot, where the system is in relation to abutters, how it's gonna
It-
impact abutters and
That's
that, and make a
confusing 'cause it
decision
seems
based
cut and
on,
dry, actually,
on that.
for lack of a better way to put it.
no,
We didn't
no,
have
I
any
don't,
discussion with him on it, so it's.
I
Yeah.
don't particularly like increasing grading problems, because it just leads to problems. When you
I think
increase
this house
grade.
property already has a grading problem, and I think we'd be exasperating it by making
Yeah.
that mound taller.
It's just that when you put that phrase like grading will not cause a problem, it's like, ah. I'm willing to go with it.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Someone want to read?
I would like to have, and maybe we already did it, and just, I think it's worth having a discussion with Jim about this, because, he's giving recommendations in, and we're overriding them repeatedly.
We're allowed to,
I understand that.
right?
I know.
So, I mean, they're Jim's
We-
recommendations.
We are
because-
allowed to do that, and
Yeah.
that's why we're doing it, but we are overriding his recommendation that and so I would just like to have a conversation, not on this one, but just in general, because he gives recommendations, and I'd like to feel more comfortable about not taking them, basically.
Yeah, I mean, anytime he's available, we can have that discussion. It's my understanding he's not really available. But I'm not opposed to having that conversation with him, but in doing this for 2+ years, we've overridden him a couple times. 99% of the time, we certainly follow exactly what he says, but we've certainly done it the other way, on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, I understand. I've been
yeah.
part of it.
Yep.
I've been
So-
doing that. Yeah.
I think, if this were an issue of just aesthetics and just trying to,
Yeah.
make the yard look better or save money or something, then those are things you shouldn't really factor in. Your goal is maximum feasible
Yeah.
compliance, following that. If he gets the 3 feet, then he needs another variance, so it's,
No,
you know what I mean?
No,
So
but I actually agree.
Right,
What
right.
I'm
So
saying is I'd like
so
to.
I think Jim just kind of goes by the straight Title V
Right.
and lets you guys take all the conditions into consideration and make
I
the
guess if I wanted-
determination whether you'd rather grant the 2 feet or the fill to lot
Yeah,
line type of thing, so.
I got it. I would just like to have a
Yeah.
so I will come in and have a conversation with him, so I can
Yeah, you
feel more
should,
comfortable
yeah.
with the decisions, that's all, because I agree. I don't like to see an increased grade,
Yeah.
especially in I took a look at it before, it's this little lot,
It is a little lot.
Yeah, you don't want to put a big bound on it. I agree.
Okay.
I'm not disagreeing, I just want to feel more comfortable when we're overriding.
Well, I wouldn't say
Yes.
we're overriding what he's
Well,
recommending.
okay, you can have your semantics then.
It's not semantics, it's actually stating it. All right, why don't we, someone want to read off the variance? Just right here. I will, someone want to do it, otherwise I will take it.
Go ahead.
All right. So this is a variance request for 12 Lakeview Drive. Is that the most current date?
Correct.
Dated July 18th, 2017. They are requesting approval from the Littleton Board of Health to allow for the reduction of groundwater offset from 4 foot to 2 foot with the use of the Presby Enviro septic wastewater system.
Oh, move to approve. Move to vote.
Are you done?
Yep. That was that simple.
All right, one second.
Okay, we have second. Any further questions?
Nope.
Discussions? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimously approved.
Thank you.
There we go. Thank you.
And technically, it's not a variance, but that's the way DEP has worded it, but
Okay.
It's not a variance?
no.
Well, I guess, so it's,
It's interesting because it says this is the approval for remedial use, and it says it needs approval from the local approving authority.
Approval and not a variance, huh?
It says specifically that's not to be considered a variance.
Oh, that's interesting.
Is that because the design of the study, the system itself, the Presby?
The Presby allows for a 2-foot reduction,
Allows for a 2-foot reduction.
but they want to see that the local approving authority has reviewed it.
Reviewed it, just.
So we don't have to vote on it, we just have to look at it?
Jim's interpretation is that it needs to come before the board.
Ah,
And I'm fine with that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, and I think it has something to do with the fact that Littleton and the surrounding towns use Neshoba. Neshoba doesn't want to be the approving authority, or they don't feel they have the authority to grant the variant, this type of approval.
Yeah. They don't do it in other towns either?
No, they do.
They do?
Like if in Westford, Acton, Concord, you, basically by right, you can take the 2-foot ground level
And they're
offset.
Neshoba?
No, they're not Neshoba.
Yeah, that's what I mean,
So
because
it-
Neshoba's got a few towns, right?
Neshoba's like 14 towns.
So all of them, they send it to the board?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, that, I mean, you know, it's,
But it specifically says.
Yeah.
Where is it?
Flow.
Right here.
No, right.
Without the need for granting a variance.
yeah, that's interesting, huh?
But
It
an
is.
approval.
Right.
Approval of the design, but not a variance.
Correct.
Actually, that
It makes it, I don't know,
that makes it easier for us,
good.
because we do have people come in here sometimes and go, their Presbys aren't going to work, and we're like, and then, because there's
Kevin and I
always,
were talking today, and we think we probably have 60 or 80 Presbys out there now. And
Yeah.
We've never had a problem with one.
how old are
I think
they?
they're a good system. Since 2006.
10 years? Oh,
That's when they got approved in Mass. But they were used in New Hampshire well before that.
oh, that's right, yeah.
It's a product that's manufactured.
I'm glad you
in-
brought that up about the approval and the variance, because
Sure.
that's helpful.
We did have dueling engineers a couple meetings ago, because someone who I hadn't recognized and been for us before made a snarky comment about a failed Presby system.
Really?
Yeah.
And then, I think it was it,
Somebody was here saying
someone
how
here
great they
was
were.
to get an approval for a Presby system, so there was like, it was actually kind of funny.
Oh.
Was it Doucette? I think it was Doucette, was it?
It was Doucette.
Yeah, it was really
Were
funny.
you happy about Doucette?
No, Doucette was the engineer or the?
Yeah, Doucette was the engineer.
He came up and said how great the Presby was, and then somebody got up right after him, an older, more experienced engineer, and went on about how they were awful.
Oh, well, yeah,
And so-
these fancy new systems. He
Yeah.
made a snarky comment about it. It was-
He doesn't put them in.
Yeah.
I don't know, I think they're a good system. We've got some on some pretty big buildings, too.
It was, I just thought it was pretty
Well,
funny to
I mean, there's
watch.
no definitive answer. It's always,
There's not, but I mean, any
You have your-
system that gets permitted by DEP goes through pretty rigorous
Oh, does it?
inspection. They're all built down at Otis Air Force Base, and they're put through the rigors. They're overtaxed, overused, abused. They put stuff through them to see if they can make them fail. They don't,
And they've been used elsewhere, not just in Massachusetts.
correct.
So we have 10
precedent,
years.
yeah.
But they don't get approved for, they go through a piling, first they go through a DEP and they get approved for a piloting program. And then once they pass the piloting program, they become approved for remedial use.
Yeah.
And then if they don't have any issues with them at all, they get approved for general use. That's my understanding, so.
Makes
Good.
sense.
That's good.
All
All
right,
right, thank you.
all right,
Thanks.
thank you.
Have a good night.
All right, you too, thank you. So, I know we've had people outside there, so I don't know if they're from Buckley Road or not. So,
Let me
in
go
the
ahead and see.
interim, is there any board member reports? There were no minutes in the packet, I don't think.
No, I didn't see any in there.
Okay, so King Street is the one that you just have to approve the variance.
Because that was one we
Yeah.
didn't have the
And I think
information.
the
We
plan
didn't
is
have
in
the
the packets,
information.
and the variance, I believe, was just filled to lot line, and...
King Street?
They're not gonna be here?
He was supposed to be here, but I guess he's not.
So we have to sign?
No, the system's already installed.
So this was the one, this is the one
Last
where...
2 weeks ago.
What do we have to
the-
do?
You just have to approve the variance.
Yeah, we have to
just for the
officially
record.
approve it.
Oh,
So
and vote
what-
on it?
Yeah.
So what happened is, it was a relatively new, did you read through the thing?
Yeah, I think I was here, wasn't I?
Yeah, it was a new engineer, and so he submitted the plans to me, but they submit
They
the
were putting
plans
it
to
in the
me
next
when they
day.
get on an agenda, but he never submitted them to Jim. And so I had it on the agenda, but Jim had never seen the
Didn't
plans.
I come and sign it?
Yes, the
I
permit,
signed it,
yeah.
yeah.
But we have to just, for the
I signed it
record,
as well,
approve the
yeah.
variances.
Yeah, this is the
because-
official.
Okay.
So it's just, we're going
Um,
backwards, but. So I think the plan was in there that says what the variances were.
All right. Is Buckley Road here yet?
Hmm?
Is
Bulkley?
Buckley Road?
I thought the developer was coming, but, if he's not, then I can just, if you had any questions on what's going on with that. And I think the owner came in last meeting and talked. And then Jim and I both gave you like a little summary of what's going on.
Yeah.
Basically,
So, where's King Street? Here it is. Okay, so, anybody want to take this?
You mean to make a motion?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what to say.
Well, in your packet is the plans, and you can,
Oh, just say approve it.
yeah,
I have to look at the
reference the
variances
variance
though.
and the plan date.
The variance is on here, right?
there's local upgrade approval.
Oh, here, is that it?
That's what I'm thinking it is, yes.
Is that
Okay.
what you say on the agenda, what we say on the agenda? or-
Yeah, they're just looking for groundwater offset and
Fill the
fill.
lot line. Feature within, I can't really read this. Okay, make a motion to reduce the groundwater offset to 3.1 feet as allowed in the DEP approval letter for remedial use dated September something 20, I can't really read it, 2014. And to allow grading for the leach area within 10 feet of the lot line?
Bit of lot line, yep.
As shown on septic system repair plan, 107 King Street, Littleton, Mass, dated August 17, 2017.
Second?
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Um, Okay, any board member reports? There were no minutes in the packet, so we don't have draft minutes at this point.
So Bulkley Road, Jim put some comments in his memo, and I sent you some of the information. So basically what it is, so the owner had come in the last meeting, I think Lisa and Aaron were both here for that, so they can update you on what that conversation was if you didn't watch the tape. But, so the developer has sold, I believe, 4 lots. I mean, the owner has sold 4 lots. And the owner, 25 Bulkley, has a failed septic system. It's been in failure since December of 2014, so the 2 years have passed. A septic permit was issued in September of 2016. It was picked up by a septic installer in 2016, September, but the system was never put in. The developer is now on his last house and getting ready to close, but because of the requirement that all the any system that's in failure has to be upgraded prior to the final CO, he's being held up by Jim because the owner has not upgraded his system. So I believe the owner came in asking to not upgrade the system.
I think he was asking for an extension to not upgrade yet, yeah. Why does the seller have to upgrade his system? Is he, I know he sold.
Because it was failed. The
But why-
house
but-
was originally, the house and the lot was, say, 12 acres, and they subdivided lots off.
Mhm.
But when you do that, you have to either prove that the septic system for the existing dwelling
And that's just a law.
passes the Title V, and it failed the Title V at that time. So a design plan was done for that lot, but now they've not installed it. But now the issue has become that the developer owns all the other lots, the owner owns the home with the failed system, and he has not put it in, so he's holding the developer up from being able to get his last CO.
So is there any opportunity under the regulations to extend the permit, or do we have any options, or is this just the law?
I mean, it's a failed Title V.
He's
It's
had
been
2
in failure
years.
for now almost 3 years. I don't know why you would extend it.
Yeah,
It's-
okay. I got you.
But the question at hand is there any, for me, the question at hand is there any leeway for us to allow the developer to?
I believe you could, make a decision as to what time frame you're gonna require the homeowner to put the system in by. And, I think if you set a timeline, but then allow that the developer can get his last CO without being held up by the other one, you can make a
So-
motion to that.
But if we
In
did that.
In essence, giving him another extension. If we give him 6 months to get a system in, you're basically giving him an extension.
Yeah, I would give him 30 days, but.
But you know what, we would be doing more than that, because if there's, is it a subdivision law that you have to have where's the?
It's not a subdivision law. I was trying to find it in Title V, and
It's in Title V?
I don't think that Jim specifically referenced the section of it.
I just want to make sure, I'm not sure that. we
Because if
got
it's
it
in
what we were
Title
here For the septic escrow agreement that you have
I mean, we can only do what's under Title V.
Matthew and Michael's signatures to go with.
I'm not sure if we
So
gave
you're
an
getting
extension
the
just because we
boards,
wanted to, if there's
That to go
no,
with it, and once you have
option
the
to do that
boards
under
and
Title V,
bless
I don't
the
know.
numbers.
if that would be
Well,
allowed.
that's
now
what
you
Jim's
send me a
thing was
copy.
saying, is that it's
Thank you
failed.
so much
Okay.
for your
Failed
help. I
system.
really appreciate
Yeah.
it. Helping us get
He's
here.
no longer in
No
compliance.
problem.
He's not in compliance with Title V.
I am going
So I'm not,
to
I'm not seeing a way to do it legally.
have Justin McCarthy
I
get that
read-
signed
I
by
could
the
provide this-
bank.
to
and
provide
just
the
PDF
CO
a copy
prior
to you
to,
of the bank signature.
completion of the system?
Great.
Beautiful.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because if it's, if that's required under a law, I mean, that's the law.
Yeah.
You can't,
Yeah, Lord knows I don't want to.
no, we don't want to do that.
Remake law, rewrite laws.
No.
Did Jim make a reference to a section?
Okay, so it has to be within 2 years unless. So if we can fit into any of the unlesses, but if not, according to this, there's no.
Well, the problem being the 2 years expired over a year ago, so he's beyond the 2 years.
Oh,
The 2 years, so the system failed its Title V in December of 2014, so we're coming up on almost 3 years of a failed
and then we
Title
have to
V.
think about precedents too, if somebody else comes in.
Mhm.
Oh, department may be specific written approval authorized the local approving authority. Oh, boy. The department's, DEP, I think. I'm reading down here.
I can get Title V, and you can read that section 3/10.
Well, he has it right here, I think.
Yeah, that's, oh yeah, he does have it. Yeah, it does have the whole thing, yeah. So it's Title V regulation,
Yeah.
not subdivision, so.
So it says a fiscal commitment to the sewering plan or shared system plan?
So that would be if sewer was going to be available, say, within the next
Ah,
year,
okay.
then they would allow you not to,
Okay.
because once sewer's available, you're supposed to have
Okay,
to
so that
tie in
doesn't-
And
with
each,
it.
and
That doesn't apply.
each home, each lot has their own system. Okay.
Right.
Enforceable schedule for upgrade.
How do we enforce this, or how's this enforced?
Well,
I mean, basically, they can't sell that house until
That's
they.
not right.
replace the system, right?
Right.
But if
Yeah.
there's no desire or movement to sell the house, all they're doing is upholding the developer from,
Right, and what was his reason for not upgrading it? I mean, there's,
so according to Jim, he tried to, and I wasn't here for this discussion, so this is Jim
Seems like
just
some
filling me in.
extenuating health circumstances.
That he was trying to claim, or attempting to claim hardship because his mother has stage 4 cancer.
Mhm.
Now, Jim's opinion in talking to me was, he doesn't believe that that's necessarily an extenuating circumstance or a hardship because, well, they've subdivided and sold these lots. They ought to be able to afford to put in
Financial
a
hardship.
financial
Yeah.
hardship.
and the system's been in failure for
And the
almost 3
system's been in
years,
failure,
and they
no.
did obtain a septic permit,
And-
which they paid for and picked up. So there was an
Right.
intention last year to
Well,
put it in,
The
so.
the question I was wondering is this going to be a tear down at some time? And they, they don't want to upgrade the system because
But
they
they're
might
still
be,
out of compliance. I mean, legally, that wouldn't even.
they were out of compliance 3 years ago.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be a factor in in what we're allowed to do,
Right.
as far as I can
Right.
see.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
there's probably all sorts of, well, not probably, I know, there are all sorts of known failed septic systems in town. They just don't typically run afoul with
I said that.
compliance until you try and sell it, or rebuild or whatever. Then people typically tend to deal with it, I guess. And again, that might not be fully legal, but I think that happens. And I don't know how, to Aaron's point, I don't know, how we
Well,
force
this one's a
compliance,
little
and
bit,
two, what we can do to help.
well, this one's a little different too, because these lots are all served by, wells, not town water, so.
Oh, boy.
Mm.
Oh, that's total.
But I guess then how do we enforce compliance?
You order him to put the system in by a certain amount of days.
Yeah,
He's beyond his 2 years that Title V allows to do it. So the board sends him a letter saying, you're out of
Oh,
compliance with
does it go to
Title
court at
V, you
some
have
point?
X amount of days. And if he disagrees with it, then
he can go to appeals.
he would go to court. Go
Okay.
to court. Or DEP. I don't
Well,
know.
that seems the route then.
Yep. So if he doesn't comply, what's the ramifications to him? Or to her, or whoever the property owner is?
I would have to check with Jim if,
Is there a fine?
yeah, I think you could, I would have to verify with Jim.
Yeah, that's okay.
But, where it's a twofold thing, it's you have to decide what you're gonna do with the property owner and if you're gonna release the developer from, he's probably 3 weeks out from looking at for his last CO.
I don't think we have authorization to do either, though.
Jim.
Talk to Jim about that.
Yeah, Jim was a little bit more gray about that. My discussion with him is he indicated that we could do that. But I don't know where the legal statute is that gives
Yeah.
us that flexibility.
I don't either.
So-
I think we'd have to see it to make sure we're not.
Yeah, I'm a
So
So
little
if
bit,
you
basis.
want, why don't we talk about, like, what you feel like for timelines for the failed system? And then if you're in agreement of releasing the developer, and I can run it by town council tomorrow, and, make sure that whatever
So, yeah,
letter is drafted
I
is
guess the thing
proper.
is that they haven't, they've known they needed to fix it for a year, and they haven't done it. And the reason they haven't done it is because they could sell the houses. So there's no indication that they're gonna do it.
so, okay, so exactly. So what I was gonna say is then, first shovel in the dirt, or I don't know how, some way we state it such that when work starts on, or there's some percentage of time or work completed on installation of the new system, in replacing that failed system, that allows the,
It doesn't take that long to put one in, though.
well,
It's
so
like a
if we,
week.
but,
Less.
And they've got a plan,
right,
so. and-
so- but,
And they just
but,
do it.
but is the permit expired?
No.
yet? Okay, so, but there's still, you've got to, I mean, I get that these things, I'm not making excuses for the homeowner, believe me, I'm not. But, and while it might only take a week to put these things in, they're still scheduling the contractor to do it, is, you know.
But just scheduling doesn't mean they're gonna do it.
No, my point is, it sounds like we have 3 to 4 weeks before, you know, that the developer's looking to get his
Close on
last
his
seal,
last
right?
lot, yeah.
So my point is, that is plenty of time. So work is, instead of, but I am a little concerned if we say, well, you gotta have it completed in a month, because that gives sufficient time, and then the developer's left hanging a little bit. Or can we say, well, work is initiated with some percentage in, and then,
By a contractor.
Yeah.
Not by homeowner starting
But
to.
once
Yeah.
the work is initiated, that
But
my,
it says in
my-
here, it
my
says
thing
that.
is that it only takes a couple of days, so.
I'm saying, I'm talking about allowing some flexibility to, so the contractor doesn't, or the developer doesn't get stuck.
I think that, well, the developer is stuck. I mean, they're stuck.
No,
in-
but I mean, it's, so, but we're providing an opportunity where it doesn't get stuck.
Right, but I don't know. They've been under order to do this for a year, and it hasn't gotten done. And the only reason they're here now is because they want to get released so they can build a extra, sell the last piece of property.
No, the developer's separate from the owner.
I don't
The
know
homeowner.
is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah, Webster's are the owners of 25 Bulkley, and they've sold the
Okay,
other 4
but
lots
it's still
to
the only
somebody
reason
different.
that they're talking about this. They've been under order for 3 years to do this.
Yeah.
So the homeowner are not talking about this. That's the point. The developers come and said, hey, can you get these guys to do this? This isn't, the only reason the homeowners are coming is because they don't
Homeowner
want
wants
to do it.
doesn't want to do it right now. He
Right,
wants
so,
to keep on waiting.
right, so my thing is that if the only reason they're here is because the developer wants to get out of there, so I don't think that, I think that we have to tell them they have to get the septic system in.
The developer is separate from the homeowner.
No, I know that.
No, so we can't tell, so we can tell the developer, that you can't close this out, your final lot out, until the homeowner repairs your septic system. That I get.
Well, that's done.
But, and he already knows that, or
Yeah.
that group already knows that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, and again, Jim, in my discussions with me, allowed for some flexibility
Okay.
on this, okay? And so what I'm saying is, we can give some length of time for the homeowner to replace this. 4 weeks. And that
Okay,
may seem to be a very liberal, it may seem to be a very liberal amount of time, but 4 weeks. And then the question I have is, or what I'm positing is there some action that happens on that job site, on replacing of that system, that can trigger that, yeah, all right, the homeowner is finally committing to doing this, i.e. big hole in the ground, old tank is pulled up, old system's pulled up, big hole in the ground. All right, they're clearly on their way to fixing this and replacing it, so now the developer can move on.
but it's only gonna be 2 days until it's all in there, that's my point, is that why not just have the developer wait 2 days until it's done?
I'd like to give them that kind of flexibility, though, in case something happens.
Like what?
I don't know.
I mean, the developer's been asking him to put this in for over a year. He's now on his last house. He has a closing scheduled for this house, a buyer for the house, and he's
Yeah.
being held hostage by
Right.
the owner who refuses to put the system in.
Right,
When what I don't want to have happen, what I'm trying to avoid or plan for a contingency is the homeowner continuing to drag his feet and at the last minute make whatever deadline we set. And then the developer misses the deadline, or the
His
closing
closing.
date.
So,
So if there's-
what I'm concerned about is if we say, well, you don't have to finish putting the septic system.
I'm not saying you don't have to finish. No,
Wait,
I'm
can I-
divorcing the two, but you're
not following you at
linking
all.
the two, I'm divorcing the two. I'm not saying, yeah, once, that, we still hold the homeowner's feet to the fire.
Yeah.
He's got some deadline to finish this.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, once work is started, there's sufficient confidence that that's gonna be going, now the developer can move on with their thing. It's
All right,
completely
but
separate
there's
thing.
only a couple of days in there, but let me just
Yeah.
say one thing. First, there's only a couple of days, and the second thing is, we've already told the homeowner to do it, and they
Yeah.
haven't done it. The only reason that that there's any movement on this is because there's pressure on them from the developer. Once you remove that pressure, they've even.
My
Now they
point
have
is
pressure
if they,
from the
if
town.
they're still living in the house.
They already have it. It's been 3 years.
Yeah. They're still living in the house. So my point is, they pulled the old system out. They're still living in the house. They're not gonna not finish it. But if something happens that holds up the finishing of it.
It's not worth, it's a couple of days, I don't care. If that's what it takes, we'll just do it. I don't understand why we just don't tell them they have to finish it, because we're only talking
We
about.
are telling them they
like
have
2
to
days.
finish it.
Oh, we
I'm
are.
allowing,
Oh, okay.
I'm allowing the developer,
To have the 2 days
at no
extra.
point did I say we're giving them a deadline to finish it. At no point did I say we weren't going to.
Okay, that's fine. It's only a couple of days, so I don't care.
Yeah, I would say give them, put immediately, and then,
Well, again, there's a process to this. Shelley, how long will it take to
Well,
get
they've
these
got-
communications in this order to them? To say, let's say we set a deadline of October 14th to have this in. We say that today, and that's what we agree on. I'm just putting the date out there, I'm just hypothetical. How long does it take from tonight to them getting this order and getting that process moving?
So I can type the letter tomorrow, send it to you for signature, and send it certified mail as soon as I get your signature. So Friday at the latest.
Friday they'd get it. And your 2 weeks, if we just said
yeah,
October
and the
15th.
permit you said is valid, they can call their
They
septic people.
picked the permit up a year ago. They picked up and paid for the permit a year
How
ago.
long's it good for, 2 years?
2 years.
Okay, so I think we all agree on that, and we just set a date, but I'm not comfortable touching the requirement, the other requirement that the developer can't sell until the septic system is done. I don't see
Do
that
we
we
know
have
the- do we know
a
the
legal
closing date?
option to do that.
I know
And so
the
I'd
second.
like to have the vote separate.
Yeah, so do we know the
I
closing
believe he
date?
said the third week of October.
Okay. All right, well, then, to address that, I'd like to propose that we set a deadline of installation of an approval of a system for 25 Bulkley Road for October 13th, 2017.
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries. There, so that provides that. And then we don't have to think about the second part of it.
Right.
Mhm.
Because I'm not
Yeah, that's
comfortable
probably
touching
something
that.
that they, in their, in the process of all the sale, that's some
Yeah,
kind
that's just
of
not-
language or something in writing that they have.
Yeah, because I was looking in Title V and I couldn't find anything beyond, the dates for the failure.
We don't know where it's coming from, we can't really.
So Jim had told me two separate things. One is, he didn't see that there, so we've done this, and so this is good, so this
Yeah.
is outside the thing. But he said he certainly didn't see that there was a case for hardship here. That the owners were claiming.
Yeah, I know.
But he also said that we could, I don't see it here in what he's provided, but that we did have as a board the leniency to allow the developer to move forward. But what he's provided doesn't, you're
Yeah.
right, doesn't
Yeah.
give us that, doesn't state that. So I think we've addressed that.
So, I guess the way is, the next meeting's October 10th. If at that point that system's not
Can I-
being installed.
Could we ask also, just following up, because we need to make sure that they do it so that they can close on the property, are there any kind of penalties that the board can inflict or, put into place, like we did with the nuisance? And that's the only way we got to move.
Yeah, I'll check that with Jim tomorrow.
So if there's any penalties that result, because in some ways, this is no different than what's been
Yeah.
going on for 3 years.
Yep.
Right,
They already had deadlines, they didn't do it.
So,
I'll talk to Jim in the
So we
morning.
need
He'll
to make
probably
su-
draft the letter
Sure, it
anyway,
gets done
and-
so that these guys can
Yeah.
have their closing.
And if it doesn't get done, does the developer come to us, or does he go to?
Probably should go to court.
Well, I guess what you could do is the next meeting's on the 10th, so if on the 10th, it doesn't look like they've started, the developer can come in and ask that he be released, and then the follow-up will just be with that homeowner.
So to that, when you talk with Jim, or I can send him a note too, can we get clarity on our ability to have some?
And I think if we just wait till the 10th to make sure that,
Yep.
because.
We'd have we'll need a statutory, like a reference
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah, because by the 10th, if there's no evidence of a move forward, again, there'd be two separate things. One
Right.
is what kind of penalty we
Yeah,
can do
yeah.
for enforcement, and then two, what can we do
Because it
statutorily
worked
that
last
would
time.
allow? Yeah,
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. That's a
Thanks.
better way of doing it.
okay, excellent. I'll close that discussion. Any other agenda items?
No agenda items. We have these flu clinics and things like that that we need to.
Yeah, those
And
are,
that-
those are coming up, and you can spread the word about them.
Free of charge or nominal fee?
It's depending on what your insurance is.
Yeah.
It's.
Go through your
some-
insurance.
Yeah,
Yep.
but I attached what they have to bring and all that.
Yep.
But, it's posted on the website.
Yeah, it's at the town offices on the 10th.
And hope that-
And then they have another one at the middle
Wilson,
school. that-
Oh, this is your thing, right? Immunology?
No,
Oh,
I'm a toxicologist.
toxicology.
Ology.
And then, if anybody wants to
Oh,
go
there's
to
one on
that,
the 20th as well.
the conference, on November 4th, just let me know so I can send it in.
Yeah, I think I'd like to, yeah, I think you know.
I always think it's interesting about these, because the strains they pick, they pick strains
Oh,
and then they.
we're going back to flu.
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, last year it didn't work.
I know.
They had the wrong- they had the
That's
wrong-
what
Everybody I know that gets the flu shot gets the flu.
I found
so,
it really interesting.
I didn't. I
never
survived
got a
with my
flu
flu
shot.
shot.
Me either.
Didn't get it.
I've never gotten one, and I've never gotten it.
Yeah, really? Oh, I get them every year, but I've never gotten, I can't say never gotten the flu. I haven't gotten the flu in years. I only get them because every
I
time.
know, I'm gonna get it now.
They give them away for free. so I
I'm just
walk
curious,
them.
like, they watch the world and they decide which flu is going to come this year? I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's all the epidemiology of it, right? And they try and figure out and guess which
Yeah.
strains are gonna be prominent, and sometimes they miss. Oops. All right, anything else?
I talked to Shelley earlier this week about somehow, and we talked, you weren't here, and it got shot down, but something about maybe getting involved in some kind of opioid prevention, what the board can do, so,
I don't think it got shot down.
yeah, pamphlets are fine.
Well,
And true, I talked to my 22-year-old son who said, Mom, people that use it know they might die. So really, logically, a piece of paper is really not going to make that much of a difference. But I've been in contact with Matt Pinard, who's going to get me in touch with Mike Crory on the police department. Mike Lynn from the high school sent out a concussion opioid, I got a thing, I downloaded something from the state that said how many, we had 3 deaths in Littleton, opioid-related deaths in 2016. I think we've had at least 3 this year in 2017. They don't have those numbers
That's a
for
lot.
for a little town, yeah,
And adjoining towns are higher.
yeah. And so I don't know exactly what we could do. Shelley suggested that we might sponsor a talk,
They did have a talk at the high school, but it wasn't advertised very well. I didn't hear about it until like a couple of days before, but some of the communities, and I heard this on, I think it was NPR, and I couldn't find it, but they're just putting like a sign on the common or something with the number of deaths on it, and then maybe some
Lowell
contact.
did that with
So what that does,
flags on the common.
it makes people aware,
Mhm.
because I don't think that, no, I know, because I wasn't aware of how many deaths are going on,
Mhm.
and that it's right here, and. I
It's
think
everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, Lisa, you may want to reach out, there's two names on this sheet. You may want to, reach out to them, if you just.
Jose Morales
State,
and Anna
Department of
Lipper.
Public Health site and look them up, and, let them know that you're looking at going to this, but you were also looking for, some other information on programs or something like that.
Would be of
Those would probably
interest.
be good people to
Yep.
connect with.
It'd be of interest to know, so it's all, the awareness stuff is good, but it would be good to understand what communities are doing that are actually successful in making an impact.
You don't know if you have an impact,
Well, those,
Gloucester,
actually,
Gloucester.
there are
Really?
communities that they're starting to
they're seeing
track these things.
decreases.
Well, and they're starting to track these things.
Mhm.
And in fact, as I understand it, a lot of the money that comes from grant money from the federal government is as much as anything about tracking these numbers and then trying to understand the correlation between actions and then a decrease in numbers. And probably it's those communities that are in those areas that are, it's a bigger issue
Mhm.
that probably have the greatest movement in numbers, places in
Yeah.
Ohio
We're
and
not going to
West
see
Virginia.
three go down
and-
to
and-
not, yeah.
No, right,
Yeah.
so while that, we're not gonna see those movements, but it'd be of interest to know what
Yeah.
those communities have done.
Gloucester, Massachusetts has a really active program, and actually, I think they were either here or our department has been in touch with them because they posted it up on their Facebook page or something. But one of the things that they do is they found that, and I thought this was really interesting, that they get people signed up, they have volunteers, so that when they go out on a call, they go on the call, but they follow up the next day, because they say when you offer treatment on the call, if somebody, if it's Narcan or, they save them, that they don't want anything, but they find that when you follow up with, somebody follows up with them, sometimes they'll get into treatment. So that was one of the things that I have read, but I do know that Gloucester's they're one of the leaders in Massachusetts, and even if it's a small town, if we did it regionally, maybe through Neshoba Board of Health or
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
something.
no,
I'm sure
again, just early stages, just
Yeah.
thought I'd bring it up because, Shelley says that it falls under our realm of what we, can talk about and do, so.
No, it's certainly worth investigating, yeah. I
Like,
agree.
I don't exactly know what we'll do, but something. Try.
Yep. Okay, anything else? All right,
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
all in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye. And that closes this meeting.
So